Good evening, namaskar, and welcome back on Rajneeti on MATV with Rambat. Today, we are going to talk about various important political happenings, and one of the most important, or if I can say, very clever, very cunning political play by our own Prime Minister, Theresa May. But before that, I must tell you that you are watching us live on MATV Sky channel 793. Can also watch us on YouTube, MATV National, and on internet www.matvchannels.com. And you can participate in this program by telephone calls. You can call us. The number is displayed on our screen, and also you can send us email, whatever you want to say, live or otherwise. Today, we have a very, very special guest in our studio, and before we bring him on the camera, I'm going to tell you about something very special about him. He is in the same constituency for almost 20 years. 1997 was the first time he was elected, and we'll talk about him more. But before that, let me introduce and welcome our own Barry Gardiner.
Thanks,
Barry, thank you very much, first of all, to accept our invitations in such a short time and blessing and gracing the studio.
It's a great pleasure.
Welcome. And we are very happy to have you here. And in fact, our MAT viewers are already excited because they know that Barry Bhai, as they call you in Brent and Wembley area, he's coming on the television, so they are also happy. As you know that in this program we discuss the political movements locally and internationally. There is a lot happened in last 3 months. Started with Trump, and then things happening in France and Holland and India as well. But the most important thing happened in Britain. Theresa May, I think it's a very clever move. She decided to take the election. I think it was because she may have a doubt within herself that people are looking at her, that she just took on the throne, which was empty, and to win people's faith. And also she declared the election in such a way that if the opposition says no to that, if the MPs voted against, then she could have said, "You're scared, you're a coward."
But we weren't, were we?
And if they say yes, then they are not probably, I mean, she must be thinking that the opposition is not prepared at all, and she just took everybody by surprise. So, what do you think about this, the whole scenario?
Look, I think she has declared that this election is about Brexit. Mm-hmm. And it's very clear that she had previously said it was really important that she continued through to 2020.
Yes.
Now was not the time for an election.
Yes.
It was important that she got on with the Brexit negotiations, that she did all that was necessary to secure the country's future, and we would have the election in due course in 2020.
Yeah.
Indeed, she actually was part of the government that legislated
Yeah.
to have a fixed term parliament, so you couldn't have this sort of an election called as a snap election. So why has she done that? She's done that because now she fears that the deal she is going to be able to negotiate with the European Union is going to be so bad that she doesn't want to come away in 2019 with a bad deal and then have to go straight into an election where the people of the country are going to say, look at the mess you've got us into, and we won't vote for you. So what she's doing is she's trying to secure a majority now so that she has 3 years after she has messed up with Brexit to try and get people to forget about it. So I think from that point of view, you're right, it was cunning, but it was not in the country's best interests. And I think the way in which she's handling herself in this election is equally not in the country's best interests. And the country want to see a debate. They want to see their politicians come together and go head to head and take each other on and give the opposing views, and then people can decide.
Yeah.
She's avoided that.
Yeah.
She said, no, I don't want to actually have to debate with Jeremy Corbyn.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you look at all the policies that we have been bringing out,
Yeah.
this government has not committed itself to maintaining the triple lock on pensioners. Elderly people are worried about what their future is going to be.
Yeah.
We have made it very clear that we will maintain their security in retirement.
Right.
People are worried about the health service and the way in which all these changes, these undemocratic changes, are coming into the health service.
Right.
We said, just today, we said very clearly, we will stop that reorganization. It's called STP, the Sustainability and Transformation Plans.
Yeah.
We will stop that on day one. We're coming out with a number of policies like free school meals, and people are looking at these policies and they're saying, yeah, I like what Labour is saying. So yes, you're right. She would like to make this election only about Brexit.
Yeah.
Right? We're saying, no, the election is about more than Brexit. Brexit is very important.
Right.
And I'm very worried myself about the way in which she wants to take us into a deregulated offshore tax haven off the coast of Europe. So her view of Brexit is, I think, deeply damaging to the country. That would mean that we were left unable to have a trade deal with Europe, with whom at the moment we do 45% of all our exports. That would be hugely damaging for jobs and growth in this country. So I think, yes, she has been cunning, as you said. She's tried to call the election now, so that she thinks she can get a majority now, have a blank check, get a free hit from the electorate.
Yeah.
But I think the electorate's too smart for her. I think they're going to say, well, show us the colour of your money. Show us your policies. Tell us what you're going to do on tax. Why is it that you're dodging the issue around the basic rate of income tax? Why are you dodging the issue around national insurance contributions? People want to know what their future is going to be, how much they're going to earn, what their prospects for improving their lives are, how their children are going to be able to afford to get housing in London. These are the things that worry people. And at the moment, Theresa May has given absolutely no answers. The answers are coming from us in the Labour Party. We're the ones who have answers to those questions. She doesn't.
Now, coming to what Theresa May has done and what she's doing and not what she has done so far, you think there is a hidden agenda, not just the Brexit, but there is more to the election. And I mean, overall, in general, so far, what our research tells us, that people are really confused here, because on one side, a Prime Minister who has taken the country into such a position where nobody is sure about their future at all. On the other hand, what the way they are propagating is that there is no opposition. Literally. I mean, this is what people are confused about. That suppose, people don't like a party, or for example here they don't like Tory party in there. So far what they have done is not very popular amongst the voters. But then voters think at least they have a sustainable government, a government who is already working. On the other hand, we don't have any strong leadership or a party which we can say, okay, if that party is elected, or here we're talking about Labour, why we say that party. So what would you say to these people who are actually confused, and they are trying to find answers that if we vote Labour, for example, is there a possibility that Labour can give us a solid government?
Solid government. Well, you know that the Conservatives are repeating over and over and over again, strong and stable government. Right? That's their mantra. But they're not giving you any details. And I would ask you to look at their record. I'd ask the voters, look at their record. Because they came into government and they said that they would deliver a strong economy. In fact, just 2 days ago, Theresa May said, look, back in 2010, the country was on the brink of bankruptcy, she said.
Yeah.
Now, let's examine that. This is just after a global financial crisis. Our national debt in this country under the Labour Party was £979 billion. A huge amount of debt, £979 billion. Today, the debt under this Conservative government is £1.731 trillion. That's £750 billion more than it was under Labour. So if she thinks that things were bad in 2010, and they were supposed to have a plan, an economic plan to sort this out, you've got to say they have failed. Not only have they failed in terms of the debt, they've also failed in terms of the burden of tax and the deficit, because they said that they were going to get the deficit eliminated by 2015. That's the amount in your revenue spending, how much you're getting in and how much you're getting out, instead of having to borrow to pay for your current spending, they would even that. They didn't manage to do that by 2015. And so they said, okay, well, we've failed, but we'll set a new target of 2020.
Right.
Now, in the last budget, they said, actually, we're not going to do it by 2020 either, and we're now dropping it as a target.
Okay.
So they failed on the debt, £750 billion more than it was under Labour.
200% more.
They've failed on the deficit, and they like to claim that they are the low-tax party.
Right.
Well, let's look at that as well, because under Labour, the proportion of tax of our GDP, tax to GDP ratio, was 33.9% in 2010. Today, it's 34.4%. And the Treasury's own projections under the Tories is that it will go up in 2021 to 22, it will go up to 37.2%. So under Labour, 33.9, and the Tories themselves are saying they are going to increase that burden of tax to 37.2. So if you care about this country's economy, you have to look at what the Tories have done, and you have to say they have comprehensively failed. They have absolutely not achieved all the promises and commitments that they made. Now, we in the Labour Party believe that taxes should be borne by those who are most able to pay them. We have committed to protecting low and middle income earners. Now, this government has cut the taxes for the rich. They've cut taxes for the richest in our society, over £150,000 a year, those earning, they've cut them actually by £45,000 for some people per year. That's twice as much as the average earnings. Right? Now, yet when it comes to the bottom of the pile, the people who are really struggling, who are working, they're working all hours God sends, but at the same time they're having to subsidize that with tax credits. Those people, they said they're going to take away their tax credits. They're going to reduce the help that those poor people get. Now, how is it that to incentivize the rich, you've got to give them a tax cut, but in order to incentivize the poor, you've actually got to cut the very little help that you're giving them? That doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. So I believe that your viewers, people who are looking at the government and saying, well, what has it done? What is Labour proposing? They're going to say, well, actually, we know what Labour is proposing. They're proposing to have a £10 minimum wage, which will help 5.5 million people in this country who are on low incomes. Those are the sort of things that really make a difference to ordinary people's lives.
So basically what you're saying, both the comparison which we look at and which you just described to our viewers, it looks like it has become a rich people's party
It always was.
And it's supporting
But
all.
look, I want rich people to vote Labour. Let me be absolutely clear. Look, I'm a member of Parliament.
Yeah.
I earn probably 2.5 times the average salary in this country. So I don't take myself out of that equation.
Yeah.
Okay? I want wealthy people to vote Labour because I want everybody to understand that this is simply about fairness. It's not about levelling everybody to the same.
Yeah.
It's simply saying, if you want a society where everybody feels they've got a stake in it, everybody feels they've got a share in it, then actually young people need to be able to put down a deposit for a house of their own. You show me any 2 young people in London at the moment, unless they're earning mega money.
Yeah.
You know, they can be earning £50,000 between them, £50,000 a year between them, and they'll go along to the bank, and the bank manager will say, well, you know, how much are you earning? They'll say, £50,000. And they say, well, sorry, what's that going to get you? You know, now, that's not right. There's something wrong in our economy. There's something wrong in our society if young people who are working hard, who want to contribute to their society, and who are earning good money cannot even start a family. That's just wrong. And I think wealthy people know that just as much as poor people, because actually they see it for their children as well.
A very important point. We were supposed to come to that point, which is very important. Young families, young people who have just completed their studies and moving on their life. We'll talk about Labour's policies and the government policies, but before that we take a short break and we'll come back to you. Don't go.
At Leica Mobile, we do things your way. Buy a new SIM with our UK Plan Ultra online and enjoy 12 gigabytes of ultra-fast 4G data and unlimited UK minutes and texts. All of this for the low price of just £12 for 30 days. This 50% off contract-free offer is available on our 4G LTE UK network. Don't miss out on this exclusive opportunity. Visit leicamobile.co.uk today. Terms and conditions apply. Your data, your way. Leica Mobile.
हेस्टन हाइड वेस्ट लंदन के सबसे शानदार होटल्स में से एक with 303 air conditioned rooms and suites, one of the largest banquet spaces in London, meeting room for up to 1200 people, conferences, musical function, weddings या कोई भी गैदरिंग, मनपसंद भोजन, शानदार आयोजन और बेहतरीन वेन्यू, 400 गाड़ियों की पार्किंग के साथ Heston Hyde. For bookings, call 0208 572 1818.
Isn't Paris fabulous? I've always wanted to come here. Apparently it's
fabulous, no? I take a pinch of fab, add a sprinkling of you, and blend in a drop of loose. Fabulous. My new fragrances are
fabulous.
New Comfort Creations. Fabulous fragrances blended by perfume experts.
ਮੈਂ ਅਨਿਲ ਸ਼ਰਮਾ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆ ਰਿਹਾ ਇੱਕ ਨਵਾਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਨਵੀਂ ਸੋਚ ਨਵੇਂ ਅੰਦਾਜ਼ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਨਮ ਕੁੰਡਲੀ, ਜਿਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੈਂ ਕਰਾਂਗਾ ਤੁਹਾਡੀਆਂ ਸਮੱਸਿਆਵਾਂ ਦਾ ਨਿਵਾਰਨ, ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਮੰਗਲਿਕ ਦੋਸ਼, ਗੰਢ ਮੋੜ, ਸ਼ਾਦੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਰੁਕਾਵਟ, ਵਿੱਦਿਆ ਵਿੱਚ ਰੁਕਾਵਟ, ਕਾਰੋਬਾਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਘਾਟਾ, ਫਾਈਨੈਂਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਮੈਟਰ ਅਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਸਮੱਸਿਆ ਹੋਵੇ ਤਾਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ ਹਰ ਬੁੱਧਵਾਰ ਸ਼ਾਮ 8:30 ਤੋਂ।
Pure Heaven. Non-alcoholic celebration drinks. All the fun without the alcohol. Pure Heaven. Make every moment a sparkling moment.
Now available at selected Tesco stores and Amazon.
And those hip-hop fakers, Vishal and Shekhar.
Here we go. This is Vishal.
Hi, this is Shekhar.
We're going to be performing at the Royal Festival Hall on the 27th of May 2017.
Part of the Alchemy Festival. We'll be performing at the De Montfort Hall on the 29th of May 2017. Make sure you get your tickets right now.
Right now.
बजने दे धड़क धड़क ढोल ताश धड़क धड़क भंडारा झिड़क झिड़क मल्हारी धड़क धड़क भड़क साली चटक मटक फटक साली दुश्मन की देखो जो फाट लावली
Vishal and Shekhar live.
Welcome back to Rajneeti on MATV with Ram Bhatt. You are watching this program, and our guest today is Barry Gardiner, our own MP for Brent. And before we move on and start talking about his own politics, we want to show you a small clip which describes who are the parties are participating in the next election, which is happening on 8th of June. Let's have a look at the clip. This was some information who is participating, who is standing in for elections, and their little bit of about their leaders and so on. Now coming back to Barry Bhai. He was first time elected from the Brent North in 1997.
Yes, absolutely.
So this is your 6th term.
Yes.
Sixth term running. And apart from that, I have my notes here that you actually defeated Conservative MP Rhodes Boyson by 4,019 votes. That must be some memory.
Oh yes, it was a very special night for me.
Now in your 20 years career as MP, where you have parted in the House of Commons, you served on the 4 select committees, the Procedure Committee and the Select Committee on Broadcasting, the Public Accounts Committee and the Joint Committee on Consolidation of Bills. Then you were chair of PLP Department Committee for Culture, Media and Sport and vice chair of PLP Department Committee for the Treasury. You are also chairman of Labour Friends of India, and you lectured at the Academy of National Economy in Moscow. And you are also former vice chair of Labour Friends of Israel. So, and there is something very, very interesting. One of the very known newspaper wrote about you that you are the most educated and experienced politician, MP in this part of world. So, what I wanted to ask you, Barry, is something very important. Now that elections are declared, and whether you are ready, whether you were expecting it or not, did you ever expect this to happen?
No, I didn't expect an election because we had actually passed an Act of Parliament to say that called the Fixed Term Parliaments Bill, to say that no Parliament should be brought prematurely to a halt simply because the Prime Minister wants to call one. And of course the Conservatives had introduced that legislation, and then the moment she thought she saw an opportunity there, and so she went back on it.
She caught you by surprise, but there was and that is what called is politics. But now, having said that, the election is declared, and now people will be looking at who is doing what, who has done what, and who is promising what. As far as your people are concerned, or constituency, there are 2 types of leaders. One who is there when the elections are there, and he goes to everyone, and he does whatever he has to do and makes promises and try and fulfill them. I'm not saying that they don't fulfill the promises. They try whatever the best they could do. And there is another leader who is so popular that people feel that he is part of their family, he is part of the society, he is a family member. I think you belong to the second category. What do you think about this election as as a standing MP? What do you think? Would you do?
Well, look, of course, at the moment, I am not an MP. As of today, Parliament was dissolved, so I revert to being a candidate in this election. But what has always been most important to me is constituency work. It's my constituency surgeries. It's the emails and letters I receive from people who need somebody to act on their behalf, need somebody just to represent them and to help them. Sometimes it's to find a path through the bureaucracy that is stopping them getting on. And that to me has always been just the most rewarding part of being an MP.
Right.
And I would love to think that you're right, that's my style of being an MP, is to be rooted in the constituency here and to work for local people so that there is that rapport. Of course, the Westminster element, the work in Parliament, is of fundamental importance because, you know, the reason for being an MP is that you want not just to sort people's problems out, you want to make sure that they don't have those problems in the first place. And so that's what Parliament gives me the opportunity to do. And as I look back over the past 20 years, I look back to very specific acts of Parliament which are now on the statute book, which actually started off here in the streets of Brent. So the Commonhold and Leasehold Reform Act was a response to a problem that leaseholders had in Row Green, in the constituency there in Queensbury. The Fireworks Act was a response to the problems that people came to my surgery. I will never forget this woman. She was in Kenton. She came with her shopping bag, and in her shopping bag she had all these rockets and bombs that had fallen in her garden the night before, and said, "Look, it's making my life intolerable." And so we introduced the fireworks restrictions. These are all things that have actually grown out of the constituency work that I do, and the air pollution that I've been dealing with. The whole campaign against air pollution in London, again, grew out of my realization that children here in Brent North who live within 150 metres of a main road, whose schools are within 150 metres of a main road, are growing up with their lungs reduced capacity, sometimes by up to a third reduced capacity. That's an appalling thing, you know, for parents to realise that this is how air pollution is affecting their children. And so these are the ways in which I think you can go to Parliament and you can change the law and you can get things done so that those problems don't exist. That's the value of our democratic process, and that's what I love doing.
Now, there's something which, you know, almost all the people in your area or constituency, there is a very multicolor, multidimensional, multilingual society. You are sitting on the top of it. And each one have a different approach in life, their attitude, the way they behave in the society. They follow different religions and so on. And for all of them, I have realized that this must be sometime a nightmare for you, that they just knocked on your door, and I think your secretary, Rosaline, I forgot her name, Roxanne.
Roxanne,
yes, secretary.
That's many years ago. Yes.
So, you know, and they will just come there and they will start saying, okay, I want to meet Barry Bhai or I want to meet Barry Saab. And I have got this small problem. What they may not understand that this problem may not be actually directly related to it, can be a council's problem or it can be a problem of policing. But they just barged into your surgery and they say, okay, I have got this problem. But not because they want to bother you, but somewhere on the line or back of their mind, they think that Barry Gardiner has got solution for everything, every problem they might come across.
Look, I don't, and members of Parliament cannot solve everybody's problems. One of the, I don't mind when people come to me and say, look, there's a problem with parking, or there's a problem with potholes, or there's a problem with litter and fly tipping. I mean, these are really serious problems. And sometimes, or planning is another one. People come with planning issues. And I have to say, look, that's a matter for the local council. It's not something planning that I can get involved in unless it's a major infrastructure development where it's got wider political implications in terms of doctors' surgeries or transport and so on. So sometimes I do have to say to people, look, I represent you in Parliament, not on the local council. But always I will say to people, but it's important that you see that I care about the issues that you care about, and therefore I will write to the council. I will write to the, the street care or whatever it is. And sometimes, even though it shouldn't be that as an MP writing you get more attention than as a local ratepayer, if you're paying your council tax, there should be no difference between you doing it or me doing it. We both pay our council tax to Brent Council. Why should it be that I as an MP have more influence on those issues than you? But sometimes it works that way, and so I will always try and make representations on people's behalf if I possibly can. But on other times, they may come with a council problem. Fly tipping is a very good one.
It is.
The litter that you see around, people tying up little plastic bags and leaving them with fast food and bottles and beer cans. And it's disgusting, it's horrible. And I could simply say, well, it's a council matter. But actually, it's a government matter. And the reason it's a government matter is because the reason that people are leaving those cans and fast food and dumping stuff in the streets is actually because the rental market, the housing rental market, is not properly regulated. And you know very well in Wembley there are many homes that are not being used as family homes. They're being used for sometimes up to 20 people living there, sometimes even more than that. Now, if you are not regulating the landlord, if you're not controlling the landlord who's putting people into unsafe, cramped, overcrowded conditions, then it's no wonder that those people, they don't want to be stuck, 6 of them in an upper room with no kitchen facilities or waiting for 20 other people to do their washing or their their cooking. So they go out, they'll eat on the streets, and you see men in particular, because it's usually men who are here trying to work on the black economy. And what they then do is, of course, they leave their rubbish on the street because 20 people's rubbish doesn't go into one wheelie bin.
That's right.
So the real problem is the failure of this Conservative government to regulate the housing market properly. And that's why one of the commitments that we've given is that we will do that in government. We will actually introduce those controls to make sure that there aren't these over-occupations, because actually they lead to all sorts of other social problems, and that's what sometimes feeds into my surgery. So it's sometimes looking and not simply dismissing what seems to be a local problem, it's joining the dots between them and saying, actually, we can legislate on this. We can solve the problem so these other problems don't happen.
So it's the point of view. It's the point of view. We want to talk about something very, very important, but before that, I want to remind our viewers that if you want to talk to Barry and ask him some questions which I may have forgotten to, you can simply dial the number which is displayed on our screen and talk to Barry Gardiner live. I wanted to ask you, what prompted you to move from your original place, because I believe you are from outside of London.
You mean my accent gives it away? Well, I can speak in broad Scots if you want me to, but it's modified over the years. But my children sometimes say that when I get angry, it still comes out.
It does. That tells you your origin.
Yes.
I remember a small story where there are 6 people sleeping. It's just a very old story. And this is amongst a king and his wise man. And he said, can you tell me this person's original language? And what he did, he threw a bucket full of water on the sleeping man, and he got up and he started shouting in his original language.
Of course.
So, no, but
you're not going to do that.
No, we don't want to make you.
I'll move that cup of water out of the way.
But yes, I definitely wanted to know that, because I always get very interested or intrigued by that you're sitting in the comfort of your own place and where you've grown and did your education and everything. So what prompted you to move to this part of London? Anything interesting?
Well, I came here, I was living in Cambridge when I was selected to fight the seat for Labour in 1995.
Right.
And ultimately moved my home here. So the key thing for me, though, about deciding to go into politics, that was a big decision, because originally I had no intention of doing that. I was originally thinking of going into the priesthood, and to be ordained. And I was then living in an area in Edinburgh, which some of your viewers may know the book or the film Train Spotting. Well, that was the area I lived in. It was the area that Irvine Welsh, who was the author, wrote the book about. So it was the centre of the AIDS epidemic. It was the centre of the heroin trade into the UK. There was about 80% male unemployment. And I saw the contempt with which politicians treated people who lived there. So much so that one evening I opened the evening newspaper, the Edinburgh Evening News, and found that our houses, my own home, was up for sale. And they hadn't even had the courtesy to tell us. And it was a council house, but they were selling it off. And instead of telling us, the people who lived there, consulting with us, they announced it in the newspaper. And that got me very angry.
That unjust. That triggered.
That made me decide that it was important to get involved, and I could either get on with my life and become a priest and never complain about politicians again, ignore what was going on, or make a choice, and that's why I got involved. Well, I'd have probably been better off as a priest, but there we are.
I think not just me, many of us think you did the right thing, and thanks for sharing that very important memory with us. We will come back to Barry and more questions which you might have. Again, a reminder for you can call us on the number you have on our screen. But before we start talking more about Barry Gardiner and his work and more questions, let's have another break. We'll come back to you.
At Leica Mobile, we do things your way. Buy a new SIM with our UK Plan Ultra online and enjoy 12 gigabytes of ultra-fast 4G data and unlimited UK minutes and texts. All of this for the low price of just £12 for 30 days. This 50% off contract-free offer is available on our 4G LTE UK network. Don't miss out on this exclusive opportunity. Visit leicamobile.co.uk today. Terms and conditions apply. Your data, your way. Leica Mobile.
Pure Heaven. Non-alcoholic celebration drinks. All the fun without the alcohol. Pure Heaven. Make every moment a sparkling moment.
Now available at selected Tesco stores and Amazon.
I'm Brian of Confused.com.
Hey, little fella. Get your free Brian toy when you buy car or home insurance through
Confused.com.
ਮੈਂ ਅਨਿਲ ਸ਼ਰਮਾ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆ ਰਿਹਾ ਇੱਕ ਨਵਾਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਨਵੀਂ ਸੋਚ ਨਵੇਂ ਅੰਦਾਜ਼ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਨਮ ਕੁੰਡਲੀ, ਜਿਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੈਂ ਕਰਾਂਗਾ ਤੁਹਾਡੀਆਂ ਸਮੱਸਿਆਵਾਂ ਦਾ ਨਿਵਾਰਨ, ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਮੰਗਲਿਕ ਦੋਸ਼, ਗੰਢ ਮੋੜ, ਸ਼ਾਦੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਰੁਕਾਵਟ, ਵਿੱਦਿਆ ਵਿੱਚ ਰੁਕਾਵਟ, ਕਾਰੋਬਾਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਘਾਟਾ, ਫਾਈਨੈਂਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਮੈਟਰ ਅਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਸਮੱਸਿਆ ਹੋਵੇ ਤਾਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ ਹਰ ਬੁੱਧਵਾਰ ਸ਼ਾਮ 8:30 ਤੋਂ।
हेस्टन हाइड वेस्ट लंदन के सबसे शानदार होटल्स में से एक with 303 air conditioned rooms and suites, one of the largest banquet spaces in London, meeting room for up to 1200 people, conferences, musical function, weddings या कोई भी gathering. मनपसंद भोजन, शानदार आयोजन और बेहतरीन वेन्यू, 400 गाड़ियों की पार्किंग के साथ Heston Hyde. For bookings, call 0208 572 1818.
And those hip-hop fakers, Vishal and Shekhar. Here we go.
This is Vishal.
Hi, this is Shekhar.
We're going to be performing at the Royal Festival Hall on the 27th of May 2017.
Part of the Alchemy Festival. We'll be performing at the De Montfort Hall on the 29th of May 2017. Make sure you get your tickets right now.
Right now.
बजने ते धड़क धड़क ढोल ताश धड़क धड़क भंडारा झिड़क झिड़क मल्हारी धड़क धड़क भड़क साली चटक मटक फटक साली दुश्मन की देखो जो फट लावली
Vishal and Shekhar live.
Welcome back to Rajneeti, the final part of this program. We have with us here MP, was MP for Brent, London until a few days ago, and I'm sure that he will be selected again because he's the most popular person in that entire area. Benny, we were talking about youngsters and other things, but now let's talk about your own area, where you're based on the Ealing Road itself.
Yeah.
There's one particular problem which is bothering Ealing, the business people on Ealing Road and so on, and they, in fact, few times actually they went to the council, then they went to the government, they protested for this, but they never actually got any resolution, and that is the parking problems. That even if you go to London or many areas in Wembley and Brent, the parking restrictions are only up to 6 o'clock.
Yeah, in central London they go up to 8
But in
or 10.
Wembley, it is not the same case. Why? I mean, what is causing this?
Yeah. Look, it's an issue I've taken up many times on behalf of shopkeepers and retailers, and spoken with the business community about, and I've pursued it with the council. The overriding factor in Wembley, of course, is Wembley Stadium.
Yeah.
And on event days, that 90,000 people are descending on that stadium, and therefore the parking restrictions for what is it now? Well, now it's just been increased, I think, to about 60 days a year, are much, much tighter.
Right.
And they have to be to protect residents. And of course, that brings with it huge inconvenience. So you have that as a problem, but we also do have the benefits that come from the economic benefits that come from all those people coming into our area, coming and buying things in our shops, eating in our restaurants, and so on. So the benefits of Wembley Stadium, in terms of providing jobs and economic growth, are tremendous. But there's also the issue of non-event day parking, and how people coming because they want to do their shopping on Ealing Road, how they are able to manage that. And of course, it is a problem for retailers. It's a major bus thoroughfare. All the buses, the 297, all the 182, the 93, the 227, all the buses that are coming through this area. They have to be able to get by. You have to ensure that they can get through, that the emergency vehicles can get through, and some of the side streets off Ealing Road are actually quite narrow, and where there's parking on both sides, it's resident parking. The point is, we have an incredibly busy shopping area in Ealing Road, but it's next to a dense residential area.
We will talk more about that, and but we got some caller. I think they might want to. Yes, we are ready for the callers.
Say hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, who is this?
Yeah, my name is Nalin Raman.
हाँ नलिन भाई.
मैंने प्रश्न पूछो है.
हाँ जी.
कि whenever in the parliament the issue on Kashmiri Pandits is raised,
Yeah.
Why is it that Mr. Gardiner prefers to remain silent?
You are talking about Kashmiri Pandits.
Pandits, yes,
And
yes.
when the issue was raised in a parliament, why Barry was silent? You got the question?
Very, very good question. I think if you check the history, you'll find that the last time the debate was held in Parliament, I was a member of the Shadow Cabinet. I'm still a member of the Shadow Cabinet, of course, not an MP today, but I'm still a member of the Shadow Cabinet. And as a member of the Shadow Cabinet or the front bench, you only speak on your area. And therefore I could not participate in that debate as part of the protocols in Parliament. But if you look back in the record to before I was a member of the Shadow Cabinet, both when I was in opposition and when I was in government, I did raise the issue of the Kashmiri Pandits. Indeed, I went in, I think the first time I went to Kashmir would have been in probably 2000, 2001. And at that time, I went to the camps. I went right up to Srinagar, but went to the camps around Jammu, and came back and raised that issue in the UK Parliament, and I have done repeatedly. I've also always maintained, as is absolutely right, that the issue of Kashmir is an issue that has to be determined bilaterally between India and Pakistan without interference from any outside powers, including the UK. And it really deeply pains me that some members of Parliament have not observed that rule. That is what India and that is what Pakistan agreed between themselves. That's what the United Nations agreed between themselves, at the United Nations, and we must respect that. Some people have tried to bring that issue as an issue of debate and conflict within the UK Parliament. That, I think, is wrong. These issues must be settled bilaterally.
Nalin bhai, thank you. I hope you got your answer. Thank you very much for your call, and we appreciate your participation. However, we're talking about something totally different, which is very close to us. And we were talking about this congestion and parking charges and everything. And day by day, although the Ealing Road is same, and there was a time when it was shopper's paradise, but it has become slowly becoming a nightmare for the shoppers, and it seems like it's shrinking. There's more and more traffic actually coming on that road, and there has to be something done, very quickly before it becomes really a zone where people will be scared of going to Ealing Road for shopping, and by doing that, the shoppers on Ealing Road suffer.
Look, the traders on Ealing Road are offering really a retail experience, if I can put it that way, that it would be very difficult to find anywhere else in this country. It's quite extraordinary. You have the little bazaars, you have the sari shops, you have the Indian jewelers, you have the amazing restaurants. I'm not allowed to publicize my favorite. I mustn't talk about either Maris Bhajia House or Saraswati Bhavan or any of those.
You already done that now.
It's an amazing experience shopping on Ealing Road. What, of course, most people nowadays are used to getting in their car, going to a destination like Westfield, parking easily, going in, doing their shopping for 3 or 4 hours, coming back to their car and driving away again. Ealing Road isn't like that. Ealing Road has developed organically as a community, as a retail community. And we could see the modernization of Ealing Road. We could see new buildings going up there. We could see, some form of transport system or car parks or whatever that made it a much smoother, cleaner experience. But that if that were to happen, there would be something essential about the experience of shopping on Ealing Road that would also be lost. It has grown from the origins of what was a 1930s suburban high street into this incredible mix of cultures. You know, where else in the UK can you find a Sunni mosque next to a Tamil Hindu temple, literally next door to each other, and 200 yards down the road we have the Sri Sanatan Vallabhnidhi.
There is a Sai Baba temple.
Absolutely, Sai Baba temple just across the road. I mean, all in this incredibly compressed, dense area. It's what gives it the culture, it's what gives it this authentic feel. And actually I think people, they don't want sterile shopping, they want that authenticity, and that's what they get on Ealing Road. But I understand the problems that come with it in terms of not having that modern convenience of being able to park and get out of your car and take a leisurely stroll alongst an air-conditioned boulevard indoors, you know. Ealing Road is not like that.
No.
But I would say anybody who hasn't been to Ealing Road, you're missing something. You know, for all the problems of parking, you'll not get a shopping experience.
I mean, people who come from, you know, Delhi or Mumbai or Gujarat, and then when they come on Ealing Road, they feel that vibration, that warmth, they feel like they are back to India. And that I mean, we call it soul, if you like, you know, the heart of Wembley. And I think that soul or heart is deteriorating or dying because
you're making a really good play about the on behalf of the retailers, and that's good, and I want to champion them as well because they do a fantastic job. Okay, what I would say though is you look at the refurbishments that are going on in Ealing Road. The new supermarket that opened up just by Atlit, but opposite the Alperton station. You look at Jalaram, the sweet market and the supermarket that opened midway up. You know, these are sort of the mid-range supermarkets. They're not the huge multiples, but they're not just corner shops. These are big supermarkets in their own right. They have taken millions of pounds of investment. People know that actually investing here in your retail offer in Ealing Road is actually paying back. And that's why you see the development. And, you know, look at the redevelopment of Saucony's as well. You know, so it's not just the supermarkets, it's actually, I've mentioned another one of my favorites.
You have advertised 4 of them already now, so we'll send you the bill. Thank you very much. I mean, there is something happening, basically.
But as you say, it's about soul. It's about that experience that you can only get shopping here on the Ealing Road.
Now, there is something else I wanted to ask you. That there is a huge Gujarati community or Indian community within your area. For example, suppose tomorrow Lib Dem decide or Tory party decides that brings some another Gujarati, you know, Kemcho. So, what do you think? I mean, what are your plans? Let's put it this way, that you are a leader, you're like a father figure into the community, you're leading them through the thick and thin for 20 years. Suppose today somebody decides and, you know, put somebody their own, you know, from their own community. What is your approach? What would you do?
You mean if another party? Look, you remember last time Harshad Bhai Patel, okay? Harshad Bhai, I regard Harshad Bhai as a good friend. Okay? Yes, he's a Conservative politician. He was a very respected councillor in this borough for many, many years. He was a former mayor of the borough. And actually he stood against me for the parliamentary seat last time. At every stage, he and I maintained courtesy, friendship. He invited me to his daughter's wedding. You know, we've always maintained, look, we have political differences. Of course we have political differences. But that should never stop us treating each other with courtesy and friendship as human beings. So the lovely thing about Brent is that, yes, we have all these different communities, but none of us live in a ghetto.
Right.
We don't think we have to protect our interests.
Yeah.
We are Brent.
Yeah.
It's not about, Christians or Jews or Hindus or Muslims or Somalis or Pakistanis or Gujaratis or Kenyans. It's not about that.
It's about Brent.
It's about us as a community living together.
We wanted to talk to you forever, Barry, because you're such a good speaker and you are promoting so many businesses. Ealing Road will be in your debt forever. But there is something, I want to finish this, we got 1 minute left in fact, but I wanted to ask you one very important question on behalf of Indian community. There is China, there is Russia, and I believe that you are a big supporter of China. You in fact...
I chair the all-party Chinese in Britain group in Parliament.
Yeah.
That means that I support the Chinese community, of course, yes.
Yeah. What do you think about current Indian politics and current Indian government and whatever happening in Pakistan and India?
Oh, gosh. Look, you say we've got 1 minute for the whole political relations on the subcontinent? Come on. Look. You know that I have known Narendra Bhai now as a personal friend for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
I showed him around Parliament back before he was even the Chief Minister of Gujarat.
Yeah.
I think what he is doing with modern India, the vision that he has for India, has been absolutely staggering. Absolutely staggering. And that means that we're going to see a very different India on the world stage. I welcome that. I want far better trade relations with India. And I also believe, and in fact, I think I said this almost 20 years ago. I think I was the first British politician to actually publicly say that we should support India having a seat on the Security Council as part of the P5. I was the first UK politician to say that.
Yeah.
I still believe that that is the case.
Right.
India is absolutely one of the 21st century's superpowers, and the sooner the world recognizes that and gives India the status that it deserves, and I think with this Prime Minister increasingly they will have to do that, because they will have to recognize the change and the dynamism that he is injecting into the Indian economy.
Thank you. That is Barry Gardiner, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, we don't have much time left on our hand. So, Barry, thank you very much for coming on the show. I hope that you visit us again once you're elected. And that's for today. इसी के साथ आज का प्रोग्राम समाप्त होता है. अगले बुधवार को फिर एक और पॉलिटिशियन के साथ मिलेंगे, लेकिन तब तक के लिए रामदीप भट्ट को दीजिएगा आज्ञा. गुड नाइट, टेक केयर.